On to the OB Talkwire podcast. Welcome everyone back over here, OB Talkwire, and let me just tell you right now, this is one of the biggest episodes of the Talkwire I've had so far. We got a few popular guests, Larry Kempeford, Jim Weber, really big popular guests over here, a few football players here in Youngstown State, but now we got someone national once again, and it's the host of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast, sometimes if it's on his channel. That would be the man himself, Darian Gilliam. Darian, first of all, thank you for coming on, dude. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Yeah, I'm glad we were finally able to make it happen. Sorry about the constant delays for me and stuff, but yeah, you know how life is. Sometimes random things pop up every now and then, but I'm glad we got this done finally.
Yep. I know how life is myself, dude. I mean, especially with doing the podcast, stuff like that, especially with working and all that stuff. Doing it on my phone this time, so if you don't see the Yeti mic, that is because I'm doing it on my phone. Once again, though, let's do our fake sponsor. Fake until we make it. We got canned Gatorade over here.
Canned Gatorade? What?
Canned Gatorade. Basically, if you got those Gatorade powders and you just put one scoop, it basically tastes like watered down Gatorade over here. I thought that Fita Fea, I saw that Twitter video. I'm like, I got to try this for myself. Maybe shotgun like you did. Doesn't taste as good as I thought Fita Fea would think it tastes good. So,
wow. Yeah, I didn't know they still had canned Gatorade. That's cool.
Man, I found on Amazon like about $20 or something like that. I'm like, let me buy this over here just because I got a couple bucks to spend. Why not? And I mean, if you just want some cheap Gatorade, I mean, for like 24 pack, I mean, there you go. You got to put a little sugar. You got to put a little sugar in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the fake sponsor we got over here. But once again, everyone, Darian Gilliam over here for episode number 14, actually, of the OB Talkwire. 13 was last week with Brian Liner. So what's been going on with you lately, man? I mean, I know you're in the media and all that stuff. You're doing your YouTube channel. How's that been going?
Everything's been going pretty good. I've lived out here in Tennessee since January now, and so what is it, like 8 months? Yeah, so 8 months. Yeah, almost 8 months. Yeah, so I've been out here, and it's been an adjustment, but I mean, I'm starting to like it a lot more now. It was just, coming from the West Coast, it's just so much different. Like, I mean, I would only visit this, I would always visit the South as a kid, but like now I'm actually living out here every day and stuff. But no, it's cool, and been marathon training too. I did my best Noah Gregson impersonation this morning. I threw up a little bit though. It wasn't a whole lot. But then, hey, no, it's like that's part of the training though. It's like, yeah, and after that, I felt pretty good after that. I just kept on running and stuff, So got to finish out the workout, but yeah, no, channel's been going well. I mean, over 60,000 subs now. That's crazy.
That's awesome, dude.
That's insane. Yeah, so less than 40K away from 100,000. So that silver play button, it's right there. It's so close, but it's so far at the same time. And then, yeah, as far as the media stuff is concerned, I've been blessed to, get approved for some events and stuff. Like I haven't gotten approved for every event I've applied for. That's a whole nother lesson too. It's just dealing with that. It's just like, I don't know. It can get frustrating sometimes, but it's like you have to keep plugging away and stuff. And then, not to mention too, the fairgrounds too. I mean, getting the gig with that as well. Me and the IDK player, aka Jonathan Ramos. He's gonna. I was gonna kind of keep this under wraps. I guess my tweet kind of, I kind of said it without really saying it. Basically, IDK and I were kind of going to be helping out with some of the commentary over there in the future.
That's good.
So, like, starting with Victory Lane interviews, and then, IDK player, he does his streams on our Night in America. He's an amazing commentator. He's finally going to get a chance in a real booth at the fairgrounds of all tracks. Yeah. Depending on how, this trial run goes, but I'm sure he's going to kill it. I mean, if you watch the streams, him. I mean, So it's been great, it's been a blessing and stuff to have these opportunities pop up and stuff. And I don't know, the greatest thing of it all too, and I keep appreciating this every day, is like I am working for myself and I'm doing this for myself. It's like there's no other company, no other person and stuff, And obviously having some backing and stuff, like I don't know, having like someone in the industry or like working for someone. Yes, I mean obviously that's like, preferred. But like, I don't know, at this point, I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to stop this anytime soon. So let's see what I can accomplish on my own. And yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
That's what I've been feeling about this podcast too, dude. I mean, even with technical difficulties, sometimes I just got pushed through it. I mean, I'm low budget over here. Still got to get the equipment and all that. I'm not using my broadcast equipment because that's only for the YSN football, which is coming Friday, by the way. For all you fans out there that want to listen to me Thursday and Friday, I really would appreciate it. Thank you. But no, I would want to just use that all my own stuff for it. Again, you have to, the more stuff you buy, the more technical difficulties you're going to have with everything.
Yeah.
And the more big stuff you get in, the more big problems you're going to be dealing with instead of the little problems right there. But no, you two being a really good broadcasting crew right there, play-by-play, victory lane interviews. It's something we have at my station as well, Wallace. And, I do the play-by-play for football, basketball, sometimes baseball and all that stuff. Favorites, of course, football, basketball. Baseball could get kind of boring at times unless you're on a close game, you know what I mean? Because there's just so much dead air in the room. But the thing is about NASCAR is that, there's never, really any dead air is a thing. Because, yes, people get all the stereotypical, they're just turning left, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, but you actually go to a race, and you actually commentate a race, it's much more exciting than just say, watch it on your TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Because I don't know if you can relate to this, but I imagine your family was probably watching you as a kid watch NASCAR, and they're like, "Well, what's the point about this?" It's
no. Left, right? No, my parents they got me into it. My mom got me.
Oh, they did, really?
Yeah, so they were fans. They were fans first. Yeah. I don't know. My mom just turned the TV on, and it was around kindergarten, first grade, and I happened to watch it, and it was cool too because not only was the racing spectacular back then too, but there were so many fans. Every race was sold out in that era, so it was easy as a kid to kind of just gravitate towards that because whoa, look at all these people and stuff, and look how fast they're going, so and the cars were really bright and stuff, and I loved it. So I just fell in love with it and stuff. Obviously, a whole lot of my friends back home, they didn't really get it or whatever. But my mom was from she's from Virginia. So obviously it's more popular out there and stuff. And she was stationed out in Las Vegas in the military. And then, obviously when she decided to just stay out there, then she was like, well, I'll just kind of bring some of my Southern culture over there and stuff and use it raising my kids. And hey, one of the things that stuck was the NASCAR for sure.
What was your first NASCAR race you ever watched?
First race I ever watched? Flag to flag?
Flag to flag, yeah. Or if you just turn on the TV, you're like, oh, wow, cars turning in circles.
2004 Daytona 500 is the first one that comes to mind. I have vivid memories of watching some of the 2003 season, but I don't know, I wasn't that into it yet. But then 2004 500, I watched the whole thing, and then seeing Michael Waltrip flip on the TV, and then Junior winning, and then the reaction to that and stuff. Because my mom was a diehard Dale Senior, Dale Junior fan, or she is still to this day. When they were driving, she was a diehard fan. But yeah, no. So seeing her reaction too, I guess also pushed me into it because she was so into it. I'm kind of I didn't know what's going on, but I guess we're gonna cheer for this guy, I guess. So.
And you're just like, oh wow, these cars are cool. I love these sponsorships and these colors. So that's what gets a little.
Eventually, and then it starts off with that, but then eventually you go down the rabbit hole, and I haven't left it since.
Well, especially, and it's kind of weird because a lot of people have left the sport because either their favorite driver retired or because said the sport was on a state of decline.
Funny, really quick story. So I was at the mall today getting some new clothes and shoes or whatever, and this lady recognized my retro Dale Earnhardt shirt. She was like, "Oh, I love him. I love him." And I was like, "Who?" I'm like, "Oh, my shirt." And then I asked her, "Do you still watch today?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, so hey, that's a perfect example of some fans leaving."
Yeah, and again, a lot of that happened, I think, when Dale Sr. sadly passed in the 2001 Daytona 500. But, you also had a lot of stars who have left the sports sense, And most of that's just old age, You can't really do anything about it.
I guess you can, though, make the case for, NASCAR, they started decline. Some fans started leaving after Dale Sr. left. But, statistically, though, it just, the numbers kept shooting up and up until... Yeah. Roughly after the 2006 after the 2005 season, that's when NASCAR's ratings had peaked, and they've never gotten that high or flatlined like that since. And then starting from 2006 to now and stuff, it kind of kept going down. But now we're in a stabilizing period. So, and with the new car and stuff, and you're getting new drivers and new owners too. I didn't expect Jordan and Pitbull to own a NASCAR team, and they're freaking competitive too. I thought it would take years for them to get competitive, but this next gen car has played everything. This next gen car has changed everything. So, I think the sport, there's a lot of potential for it to be back on the rise. Will it ever get to a level where, it's back in the mainstream, I don't really know, but like, I mean, it can only go up from here, I think, So.
It's different because of streaming now, I mean, everything is mostly towards streaming instead of cable TV. So you got to think about it. People are getting rid of cable because cable's just so god darn expensive now.
I'm saying, dude, hey, Roku TV, man, just you can't go wrong with it, man. Yeah, can't go wrong.
So I'm at my bro's place. They're actually coming home from Tennessee, speaking of which, actually right now, just better setup here. But no, they have Hulu TV and all that stuff actually.
Yeah, but yeah, everyone's cable cutting. I think honestly, NASCAR, they gotta. I think they are getting with the times. But like it's very slowly though. Sometimes they'll do something where it's like, oh, okay, they're getting with the modern times, like this documentary, for example, on USA. Yeah. That's a great idea. But then when it comes to certain things like streaming and stuff, they're still behind the eight ball, in my opinion, too. And they have awesome talent over there too. The production people and all that. But I don't know, whoever's running the show and stuff, I don't know. It's just they don't fully understand what how YouTube works, I guess. Like, I mean, they start off, uploading older races and stuff, but I feel like some of their own, their own produced content house and stuff could be better, in my opinion. I think it's moving in the right direction, though.
Yeah, it's moving in the right direction, and I just think with the streaming right now, again, a little behind. I think the new, I want to say the new owners that are in there. Well, of course, Jim France, right? The new one, yeah.
Yes.
But like. Yeah, he's there now. I think he's doing a good job with everything that's been going on, especially from what we've been dealing with the last 6-7 years. I mean,
yeah. Thank God we are out of that era, man. That's crazy to look back on.
Hey, sometimes DUIs aren't a bad thing, everyone.
Hey, not in this case. But what's crazy is that basically that whole era of Brian France started all the gimmicks. But the sad part is, even though he's gone, we haven't fully left them behind since. And now what's even crazier is, when you think about it, I mean, look, he was caught, he had, under the influence of some certain substances. And then, naturally you think, how long has this really been going on with him? And then also you have to also think, did those substances play into some of these decisions? You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I mean, it's something to think about too. It's crazy.
I want to know who just was watching Brian France, and if you were flying the wall, I would just love to see, like, what are they doing over here? Like, someone's got to get the man. Someone's got to, if you know he has a problem, say, hey, how about we take over for a little bit? You could get fixed up or whatever, rehab, I mean, instead of, you having this addiction, and then, we could just take your job over here. We could just, once you come back, hopefully you're a better person, but let's run the show.
Hey, look, some people they don't want to leave from up top. Whether it's just temporary, I guess. And hey, I don't think too many people were telling Brian France what to do at the time. I'll just put it that way. So he did his own thing, and I mean, to his credit, like the sport did peak, under his guidance, I guess. But that was when he first took over. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's when he took over, and then after a few years after that. Then all of a sudden, it's like what kind of decisions is he making and stuff? But thankfully, we're sort of out of that era. We're not fully away from the gimmicks, but thankfully, he's not in charge anymore.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the new generation car, Gen 7's been doing an excellent job. In your opinion, I don't know. I think this might be just as good as maybe Gen 4 than what we saw in the early 2000s. I don't know if you agree on that one, but I think it's getting to that point where it's Gen 4 good almost.
What's funny about that? Like, you go back to, like 15, 20 years ago, like, the fans at the time, some of the older fans at the time were like suggesting, well, some of them didn't like the Gen 4, but like us, like, we look back at that era and we're like, wow, like, it was awesome and stuff too. Now, is it inflated to an extent? What I mean by that is like, this was during the sport's peak too. So like, does that play? Does that play into a factor? Of why the Gen 4 is looked at as so popular, because it had its problems too, aerodynamics and stuff. Like, it had a lot of issues too from time to time. But as far as the next gen, or Gen 7, if you want to be technical with it and stuff, like, it's been spectacular. It's doing what it was intended to do. 15 different winners. And, now it's to a point where second and fourth in the regular season points might miss the playoffs. And that's how many people have been winning. So that's crazy to think about. But, it's been awesome. It's been awesome watching this car and stuff. And it's transformed tracks again. Like, people would look down on certain tracks, and now they can't wait to go back to them and stuff too. Now some tracks are completely unsavable, like Texas. And we can talk. We'll talk about Texas a little bit later.
They've been saying what they've been saying about Texas. I don't want to use the term blow it up because I feel like that's being overly extreme, but they're going to probably re-event it, I want to say.
Oh, no. They should make it into an event. Blow the whole thing up and get people to watch. That would make so much money. Dude, people have been preying on that track's downfall for years, and it's finally happening. Well, potentially happening. But anyways, I guess to end off the Gen 7 talk here, it's such an amazing car, and really I can't wait to see what these younger drivers, coming up will be able to do in them too. I mean, we've already seen Ty Gibbs already 4 starts, and in my opinion, he's ready to go in the Cup Series, whether it's with 2311 or Joe Gibbs is still to be determined. But I can't wait to see him up there, Noah Gragson, getting used to his car and stuff, because like we said, it's a total game changer. Guys who never won before are all of a sudden winning now and stuff. And I'd have to say, exactly. I'd have to say though that this will extremely benefit the younger drivers coming up in the sport more than any other generation car. Because it's all based on talent. No gimmicks and stuff, no 550 horsepower package. It's all talent. And if they're talented enough, they'll be able to adapt to this car, just like some of these other drivers have been able to that haven't won before. So I can't wait to see Gragson and Ty Gibbs in the Gen 7 car, and I can't wait to see just how it's gonna keep progressing the sport moving forward.
You've been looking actually at a lot of the things too. I mean, you talked about 550 horsepower, that whole package, which no one knew why they would even do something like that. They thought it would make, closer racing, actually made it even worse than what it was before. You look at that, but then, of course, a few years back, you had the big 3, as they said, quote unquote, and all that stuff, which didn't even make much sense. I mean, they lost it anyways. Mm-hmm. And then after the big 3, people were just getting tired of that. This is a whole new game changer, because now it's basically like there's no big 3. This is like every man for itself, pretty much, for the Gen 7 car. In this sort of way. Problem is, what I have with this now is how is it going to affect the playoff format? Because say 16 win, but say the same person wins Daytona, what happens? Like who's going to be? You know what I mean? Like who's going to be? What's going to happen with that format? Where's this whole elimination? Where's this whole he missed the chase by just that much? You're going to be, I think, missing out on that, because say they keep on winning stuff like that, then all the points are set. Oh, everyone's already locked in. Mm-hmm. Instead of, say, maybe only being like the top 10 locked in.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't know. Like, I feel like at this point, like, I mean, NASCAR is like they're in a bit of a tricky situation, because it's like the old school fans they want to do away with playoffs completely, myself included. But then you have these younger fans now that basically, like, this is all they've known, like all this entertainment, this excitement, this whole thing, like, oh, he's going to miss the playoffs, he'll be eliminated, blah, blah, blah. I feel like at this point, NASCAR either has to get rid of the playoffs completely, or you just keep, going with the playoffs and just keep, adapting to it. I mean, just keep, adding new things or whatever to make sure that, certain situations, like, for example, like Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. potentially missing the playoffs while being in the top 5 in regular season points never happens again.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting what happens, because if they do miss it, there's gonna be a whole outcry. It's gonna be mostly from the Blaney fans too. When you think about it, I think Blaney has a bigger fan base.
I mean, like, myself included. I mean, I look at drivers objectively, or I try my best to be. Whenever I'm not trolling fan bases, I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I promise. Contrary to what some people have thought of me, I guess, in the past. But I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm gonna be enraged too. It's crazy. I mean, look at IndyCar right now. It's just, they have a extremely tight championship. The top 4 only separated by 33 points. And, you have different stories. Certain drivers have been dominating, and then others have been peaking at the right time, and it baffles my mind that we have a system that doesn't reward consistency. And I don't think I would be complaining as much if this system would reward consistency more. I think we heard it from, or actually, I don't think we heard it from Christopher Bell, or not Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher. Dang, see, freaking Junior, like everyone's calling him Christopher Buescher now. Now I freaking messed his name up entirely. But anyways, no,
I think like 4 times or something like that.
Yeah, but Chris Buescher had said afterwards, like he had just gotten a 3rd place finish, and that's rare for him, right? And he was like, basically said something, along the lines of, well, it's hard to get excited about a 3rd place finish in this format. And I'm like, dude, you just finished 3rd place. Like, now, obviously, in a full season format,
in Roush equipment that's past
yeah,
the prime.
Exactly. Now, obviously, in an old, in the full season standings, a 3rd place finish wouldn't have affected Chris Buescher's championship chances. He's way out of it either way. But the fact that he just scored, a top 5 finish, and he damn near almost won the race if he had to, some lap traffic help him out a little bit.
Yeah.
For him to say that and stuff, I'm just like, dude, like you just got 3rd place, celebrating and stuff, like even with Bubba Wallace too. Like I get, he's passionate about the sport and stuff.
I was about to bring up last week with Bubba.
Yeah.
Tell you what, your driver's been fast. The last 6, 7 races and all that.
Oh, just to clarify, really quick. Oh, I'm sorry, really quick. Just to clarify, Bubba Wallace, like I don't have a favorite driver. I've had once Junior retired. Once Junior retired, I've just been trying to view it objectively. But yeah, I do support Bubba Wallace though. Obviously for obvious reasons and stuff. But I mean, by no means is he like my favorite though. But no, you're right though. Like he's been picking it up. He's been picking up the pace and stuff recently. I mean,
better than way he started out the beginning of the season, especially with last year's stats too. He's been like a whole different driver. And that's
last 5
car plays a lot of impact too with him.
Exactly. And last 5 races, worst finish of 13th happened yesterday at Richmond. Like, I mean, obviously we're coming up on Watkins Glen, so I mean he's been turning it around recently and stuff, and it's amazing to see. But again, when he got, that 2nd place, obviously he was, I mean, great finish, but he was obviously, dejected about it because, like, I mean, again, with this format, you got to get a win. Otherwise, anything else really doesn't matter, and it just sucks we've gotten to that point where, like, just consistency just isn't rewarded enough. And I think it's to a point where, like, the drivers recognize that. And they're like, hey, dude, other than a win, it's like nothing else matters anymore, And like, you should be psyched about finishing in the top 5 or the top 10. You know what I mean? Like, just the good old days of a good points day. I mean, like the good points day died, after 2013. That was the last year of the whole point system format, even though it was playoff, chase style format. But yeah.
Do you think? I want to answer this, actually. I know we're talking about Bubba and all that. Do you think the playoff format died when Spingate happened and they put Jeff Gordon as that 13th driver? Do you think that's when the whole chase format died?
I mean, since it was the last year of the chase, I mean, I guess you could make an argument for that too. I mean, I still to this day, like they said Jeff Gordon was affected somehow, and I can't remember. Like, I mean, like, yeah, he might have been affected a little bit, but was it enough to warrant a 13th spot? I don't think so. But I don't know. I feel like NASCAR just did that as like kind of I mean, like they kind of made that excuse for like ratings and stuff, I mean, because to have Gordon not make it in, I mean, obviously, I mean, look at the 2005 ratings.
Oh, yeah. 05, it seemed to be all right because, he didn't make it.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you could make a case for it. I mean, do I personally think that the question was, did the playoffs die when Spingate happened, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Do I think that Spingate, killed the playoffs? I mean, not really. Me personally, I don't know. Like, I think they were already, wheels were already set in motion to do the whole elimination style thing anyways. But yeah, I mean, it is a stain on, the chase's history and stuff, because when you look at that era from 2004 to 2013, I mean, yeah, it had its flaws sometimes, but they basically would get it right each and every year. They would award winning, as the years went on and stuff like that. I mean, I felt like you had the best of both worlds with that system. I mean, with this, it's pretty one-sided with the playoff system.
Yeah. And do you think they're going to do something about, say, if 16 win and then all of a sudden no one – so say, for example, someone like Bubba, at this point he finishes second. Say, for example, all right, 16 win, and then all of a sudden say, like, he doesn't win, you just came up short by, say, like a photo finish. how devastating is that to where like though he doesn't have like enough points now to like somehow make it compared to like what it would be in the past seasons with the playoffs because like everyone won.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if something, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is what NASCAR wants. They want this chaos, you know? Like they would have preferred Chris Buescher win yesterday over Harvick, in my opinion. I think, you know, I don't know. I feel like, you know, this is exactly what NASCAR has been waiting for with the playoffs era. I mean, since 2014, I mean, 2014 was like we had 14 different winners with that, and now we just broke that record. And oh yeah, I just realized that too. I can't believe I didn't tweet that fact. Oh yeah. But yeah, so like we have 15 different winners, so this is exactly what NASCAR's been waiting for. So, I mean, I don't think we're gonna see the playoffs go anytime soon now. You know, like I think it would be different if like, you know, the same guys were winning each and every week, you know, like typical seasons, but you know, that hasn't been the case this year.
I would think so as well. We're gonna have to see what happens. So I mean, hey, we still got 2 races left: Watkins Glen, Daytona. Those are pretty much up for grabs when you think about it. Watkins Glen, I'd say not as much as Daytona. You'll have some here and there in McDowell, you know, for example.
I think Kimi Räikkönen is going to be a bigger threat than people are thinking. I mean, he's in a track Trackhouse car. Okay, let's not forget that too. I know it's basically a new team for them and stuff, Project 91, but you know, Kimi Räikkönen's a world champion for a reason, man. I mean, I know he's had limited NASCAR experience, but I don't know. I'd be willing to roll the dice with him, you know, to see if he wins or whatever.
Who else do you think could be in that 91 car if they decide to say bring it back for a couple races?
According to Reddit, I mean, Justin Marks answered this. He's open to having Jimmy Johnson do a double in it. Right. I mean, I know Jimmy Johnson's not a foreign driver, but I mean, to have Jimmy Johnson
sometime now.
Yeah, I mean, but
you know, yeah, you don't back it. You don't say no.
Exactly. You know, and also like to have him do, you know, double duty, Indy 500 and the Coke 600. That's very intriguing too, and you know, a bunch of sponsors will get on board for that opportunity. So, yeah, I'm really excited about that. Personally, I would love to see like some F1 guys in the ride, like a Fernando Alonso, or you know, maybe a Jenson Button too. I don't know if he's still. Oh yeah, he's retired now. That's right. You know, like those guys. Yeah.
Would Lewis Hamilton decide to join NASCAR? Do you think in Project 91?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Would Lewis Hamilton, do you think, decide, hey, one day I want to see what NASCAR does? Because F1 guys could go to NASCAR, and some are good, like Juan Pablo Montoya, for example, had a decent show.
Like Lewis Hamilton running full time.
Not full, well, or that one off with Project 91.
I would love. I mean, I don't think Mercedes would allow it. Unfortunately, that's the thing. I mean, I would love to see him in that Project 91 car, but Mercedes wouldn't allow it. No way, Toto Wolff would allow that. And Lewis Hamilton too to NASCAR. Like, I feel like that's such a pipe dream at this point too, because it's like he said he wants to run the 500 before. But it's just I don't see him retiring from F1 anytime soon though. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he would have to, leave F1 completely or just retire from it for that to have a chance. And I mean, look, I know he's not competing for the championship this year, but he's not doing terrible, and I'm pretty sure he loves his I don't know. He's making so much money, man. I don't even know what his salary is now. So I think he's living good right now. And NASCAR's probably the last thing on his mind right now.
Yeah, we could probably look up the net worth after this for him. It's probably skyrocketing over here.
Crazy.
Probably because I mean, you make more money overseas with like F1 than you would like in the United States here.
I feel like you're kind of on par with an F1 driver in the States in NASCAR if you were from that era, when NASCAR peaked, because you notice which NASCAR drivers get paid the most, the older ones, because they were from the old so they have certain certain salary requirements to meet, based on old times and stuff. And now these younger guys are coming in and they're a lot cheaper and in some cases a whole lot quicker. So, that's why Kyle Busch has no leverage anymore. Once Ty Gibbs proved himself.
M&M's leaving now. It's basically they're kicking into the curb.
Once Ty Gibbs proved that, hey, he can handle the next gen car on the fly, that's when I think Joe Gibbs was like, all right, well, why do I need to keep talking to you? I can just put my grandson in there. He seems like he can handle himself. So,
and who knows, it might happen unless like a big time sponsor comes for Kyle Busch. But people are saying he's going to go to the 41. I don't see it because Cole Custer. I mean, look at his dad. He works at Haas. I mean,
Yeah, I thought that too, but then I kept hearing more and more stuff that, I mean, they're willing to. I mean, like Harvick's trying to court him over, and I don't know.
It's weird. Those two have had tons of beef in the past, so that's kind of.
But the problem with that is, I mean, Cole Custer does deserve a large portion of the blame for why that team isn't successful, but you also need to look at the team as well. Like, I mean, yesterday, Cole Custer finally running consistently inside the top 10. Haas Racing was all running inside the top 10 and top 5, Harvick goes on to win the race.
Totally broke.
Yeah,
totally broke.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, okay, so he's finally running well, but you guys decide to shit the bed now? So, I mean, if Kyle Busch wants to be successful there, I think that team needs a total overhaul, before the 2023 season. I'm talking, swap some crew guys if you have to with certain teams, new crew chief, new car chief. Yeah.
Do you maybe take this crew to the 41?
Yeah, I mean, swap those two. It couldn't hurt. I mean, because that team, I mean, their most successful driver has been Kurt Busch. But even Kurt Busch, I mean, yeah, he won some races, but it's like no one's ever really competed for a championship in that ride, And I think there's kind of a reason for that, I mean, I don't know, they have a lot of work to do over there and stuff, especially with the 41 team. But I'm very intrigued if Kyle Busch goes over there. That'd be very intriguing.
How many drivers, I want to say, as a media personnel member, have you met so far? Which one was, I want to say, the nicest?
What's crazy about this unique situation with YouTube and stuff, I've some drivers have followed me. I follow some drivers back and stuff. And then, I've met them in person and stuff. We've had some long conversations or whatever. I mean, honestly, I'd say Colton Herta's the nicest driver I've met so far. Just sometimes, obviously when he's busy and stuff, he will just walk right past you, when he's in the zone and stuff, and I get all that. But last weekend or a couple weekends ago for the Nashville GP or whatever, he was he was summoned to the media center. I asked him hey, was that contact with Dalton Callot, was that a racing deal or is that just his fault? And he basically flat out said nah, it was all him. And then after he's done answering the rest of everyone's questions, I was looking down, I was typing something out, and then all of a sudden I hear oh, hi Darian, and then I'm oh, hi Colin, so he said it out loud and stuff like that too, and everyone heard that. They were looking back at me or whatever, so that was funny too. But a few other drivers I met in person, Ryan Vargas, obviously stand-up dude, he's doing his own thing, being one of the underdogs in Xfinity. I've had interactions with Ty Gibbs as well. Ty Gibbs, he's, Ty Gibbs recently unfollowed a lot of people on Twitter. I think that's more of his PR or whatever, because I saw him at Nashville and he was we were talking and stuff for a little bit. Noah Gregson, he's a funny guy too, really, and also Carson Hocevar too. Can't forget about Carson Hocevar, and he knows about the jinx as well as many others or whatever, and and I even had a very. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said you probably jinxed the podcast over here when I was having some
yeah, maybe.
Riverside knew you were coming on, and we can't have this.
But also, what's funny about that too is, and this kind of coincides with the whole driver combos and stuff. I was talking with Tyler Reddick pre-race, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I saw your thing because people always tag me," and I'm like, "Wait, tag you in what?" The what is it, the jinxing stuff? I'm like, "Oh yeah." So and look, at this point, I don't ever really talk about it anymore. Just everyone else brings it up. So hey, look, I can't control that,
Yeah, well, hey, the jinx is real, that's for sure. We do
it's
know
not
about that.
Real.
I don't know
it's not real, bro. I'm not doing anything, man. I'm not doing nothing, dude. I'm just tweeting.
So I guess you could go through that story. How did the jinx become the jinx? Because it's just
I don't know. This isn't anything new. I mean, I've been tweeting during races since 2018, and I mean, look, I've gotten stuff like that. Stuff like that has happened before, but I guess the reason it's taken a life of its own this season is because it's more consistent. And it's scary how consistent it's been this year, sometimes it'll happen 2 to 3 times like per race or whatever, something like that. And I'm like, but I don't know, like but I'm also self-conscious about it too, just because it's like, look, I mean, I get, for Twitter, there's certain bits you do and all that stuff, like there's certain things I'll, do to interact with fans or whatever. But I'm like, are some of the drivers starting to get annoyed with this? Like even though I'm not even really addressing it anymore, it's more so everyone else's. But then I talked to Carson and he's like, oh yeah, no, I get like everyone brings it up and you don't really bring it up. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, so I thought that was funny too. That was good to know. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just, it's taken on a life of its own, and I, I guess, there's nothing I can do. Like what can I do to stop it? I guess like, hey, just hey, stop happening. I don't know.
You can do, on a, people say get off Twitter and all that. I saw the video. Danny B basically over here tried the
and that,
and you're like, I got a bad knee.
Bro, but like the way some people have memed that too is because the way I was like sitting on the couch and laughing, it was looking like I was bending over for it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't look that. I'm like, oh, that don't look pleasant. But look, I'm never gonna leave Twitter. Okay, if I didn't have as much of a following as I do on Twitter, then I probably would leave or whatever. Because like there are certain things about Twitter I just freaking despise. Just the people on there, and then I don't know, just the way
you're hated. We'll get to your hated enemy
in
a minute over here because we'll talk about that actually in a minute. Because what we're going to do here first is because recording and I don't want this to overheat. We're going to take a short break over here on the OB Talkwire, and when we come back, we'll talk about Darian Gilliam's enemy right now and some diversity and how it's been improving in the NASCAR community. We'll be right back, everyone, here on the OB Talkwire. Just want to give a little sponsorship shout out right there. These two, Fake It Till We Make It, are in fact sponsored by Riverside.fm. Really helpful, especially if you're running the problems like I do a lot. It saves your files so you do not have to record again, which is awesome. Once again, that is Riverside FM. And also I want to thank our good old sponsor, Canned Gatorade. Gatorade always tastes better when a can, and these look like exactly the same cans that the Florida Gators drank once Gatorade was invented way back in the day. Now let's continue on with the interview with Darian Gilliam, a.k.a. Black Flags Matter. Once again, want to thank our good old sponsor over here, Canned Gatorade. Not as good as regular Gatorade. I'm a little disappointed I ordered this now over here off Amazon, Darian, but maybe you could give it a try and you would have a different opinion.
Gotcha. But we were talking about Twitter and stuff, right? What were we talking about that?
Talk about Twitter. I'm on Twitter. You're on Twitter. Now, I don't go really throughout the NASCAR community. That's your guys' thing. I'm in like the middle of everything. Like I'm in the NFL community.
I've noticed that.
All NBA.
Yeah, you tweet about a little bit of everything. I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I tweet about everything. High school, local sports, for example. I'm pretty much around like everything.
Yeah.
I'm all around. Well, it seems like you guys are more, of course, towards the race part, but you guys have also had, I want to say, good guys in the NASCAR community. Of course, you, Eric Eastup, JB Talks, the Iceman himself, Chair Lumber. But there's also been a couple who have, kind of, if I want to say, triggered you guys and stuff like that. I could probably name a couple. I think you've had a couple enemies, right?
Oh, dude. Look, me personally on there, I feel like at this point, it's like people either really, really, really love me or really, really, really hate me on that app. And it's mostly Twitter. It's mostly Twitter, bro. I mean, on YouTube, everything's cool. I mean, obviously, you'll get, the occasional hate comments, but like for the most part, I'm cool with people on there. And then Instagram too. Well, yeah, Instagram. I mean, some of these kids don't like me on Instagram neither. You know what I mean? But hey, look, it's a part of it, man. It's like, what's the saying? It comes with the territory. There you go. You know what I mean? Like, when you keep growing and growing and stuff, you're gonna have people that like you and don't like you. And the best thing about racing fans is that they will be upfront with you about, how, they feel about either you or, a certain driver or something like that. So I'm always getting such honest feedback all the time that I just take that in and I'm like, okay, like, let me, sort out, the hate ones, of course, that are just, saying stuff to be hateful. But then let me read the genuine complaints that people have about me and stuff, and there are certain things I'm willing to change and certain things I'm not willing to change. It's just, it's a part of it too. The day, the day that I can't handle, getting criticized on the internet is, the day I should find something else to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, do I prefer? Do I prefer it to happen? No, but it's going to. So there's nothing I can really do about it. So I just got to deal with it.
I mean, hey, YouTube, I know deleted kind of like the dislike buttons, but it's where if you're on like the app, you can see like who disliked like your shorts, and I see for some reason dislikes, even though it's just like people like you talking about like their experience and stuff like that. So I'm like, what are you guys disliking about that?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Hey, look. Look, it comes with it, man. Yeah. I mean, it comes with it. I feel like the brain is wired to give attention to hate more. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, I feel like out of 15 or 20 good comments, I feel like most people would always focus on like that one negative comment, like that one. Why is this one person not like what I'm doing? And like when I was first starting out and stuff, it was like that because I'm like. I'm just freaking from Las Vegas and stuff. I happen to like racing. Like, I mean, like I'm just doing my thing. But then, people, they're not not everyone's gonna like you, unfortunately. It's a part of it. So, it's been awesome. It's just been awesome doing this stuff. I'm gonna keep doing it, but I'm never gonna delete Twitter though. As much as some people want me to delete it for the jinxes and stuff, that's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. But yeah, like
Buster, like there's those really people though who I know you've made videos of that like just tick you the heck off. Like,
are you talking about Jacoby and all?
Not even Jacoby. I'm talking about like Jacoby's one of them. I feel like in the community also there's a few others that I've seen around there, like, ooh, these guys.
Oh, name some names for me, because we might be thinking of different people.
Well, Jacoby's one, and there was who the Chase Elliott, and that you said stayed over your house.
N2SC4.
N2SC4.
Joseph Lombarд. I stayed. Yeah, I stayed at his place in 2019, and you know what? Dude, when he obviously, it was obvious that he had a disability. I get that, but still, that's no excuse to do what he did and stuff like that. Look, I don't know what he's doing now, wherever he's at. Hopefully he stays the hell off the internet and just gets the help he needs and stuff. And from some certain sources I've talked to and stuff, it sounds like he's doing exactly that. So you know what? Just as long as he, just stays away and stuff, and I think, basically. But after Jason Jacoby, I could care less about him and stuff. Like, he's apparently about to be on trial. His trial apparently starts in the fall. I don't know. I think either his trial has already started or it's going to start soon, from what I hear.
And where's he at? Athens, didn't they say?
He's somewhere in jail, and I hope he stays there for a very long time. Just the freaking stuff he was just causing and stuff. And then, see, like, I always, had some regrets about that, too, because it's like, should I have made the videos? But then looking back, I'm like, well, yeah, because, nobody else was doing it. And then, nobody was really aware of this guy's actions and what he was doing and stuff. And I'm like, why is this POS in the community? You know what I mean? So after the whole Jason Jacoby fiascos, after that happened, I've just been like, okay, I'm never doing anything like that again. Obviously.
And then all of a sudden, at Smash Brothers, a newcomer comes in. Nick Adams comes into the picture.
Wait, Nick Adams.
The one on Twitter.
Oh,
the one who goes after Bubba Wallace.
Oh, that guy. Oh, God.
And, I don't care what our politics are, to be honest, I lean a little more towards right, but I'm not super far right, like some of those nut shops are right there. Like Nick Adams, political-wise, there's some stuff I've agreed with. Like he's tweeted something about Deshaun Watson, and we all know, of course, what Deshaun Watson's doing in Cleveland. But the Bubba stuff is over the top. You gotta be trolling, dude. There's no way that you're mad because he finished it, because he's crying about being second. Well, because he wants to make the playoffs.
Right, man. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, for in racing, you're gonna have people that aren't the best people that you have to deal with. But yeah, I'm just learning that as I go along. So, just those lessons I've learned with dealing with Jacoby and Lombard and stuff. I use that now and stuff, and I'm like, Am I as trusting of some certain people? Not really in the industry anymore. And it's not just with them neither. It's just with, certain people in the industry anyways and stuff, the way some certain people act and stuff, the way, certain things they'll say about you or whatever. So like now I'm like, I'm totally aware of that certain, that sort of thing or whatever. But hey, and it can only make me stronger at this point. But, hopefully Lombard stays away and Jacoby, goes away for a very long time.
And we're going to have to see what happens about that because nothing's been really report on them much, and it's where I've seen Jacoby's Twitter.
Nah, he can't go on it in jail, thankfully. So, yeah,
and it's weird because there's been people. I think they have phones in jail now. Like people have been on their cell phones.
Hey, don't waste your time on him. Look, the day he gets sentenced, that'll be the day I'll tweet something, and then that's when you'll find out if he's away for a long time.
Well, you're on my timeline all the time, so I wouldn't be surprised right there. You're on. I don't even have your notifications on though. It's like it's just right there because I follow you. That's pretty much the reason why right there. But I wanted to also tell you about this. So diversity in NASCAR, biggest thing, because people have been saying for so long, redneck sport, all this, all that, all whites. What's it been like? Having now, I want to say, first African American driver winning since Wendell Scott. You have Daniel Suarez coming in. You have a few other foreigners you've seen come in, even if it's for like one-time things. How's that been compared, I want to say, to like those early 2000s days? And I want to also say the women in the NASCAR too. Haley Deegan, for example. And I know people will say, oh, but there was Aaron Crockett beforehand, yada, yada. But Danica Patrick was the one that kind of started that whole big.
It's great. It's great to see. I mean, like, obviously it's a major difference from when I was growing up and stuff. The only driver I really, had that, to watch and think like, oh, like I can, he kind of looks like me to an extent. I mean, like, is Bill Lester. I mean, that's about it. But then, as time progresses and stuff, you kind of see, some of the guys from the program, progress. I mean, Kyle Larson obviously is like, one. It's obviously, when he said in 2020 he wasn't cool by any means. But I mean, like, he learned his lesson and stuff, and he was trying to better. Yeah, so I'm like, hey.
Helps him are like close friends.
Everyone, people deserve a second chance, right? So he's making them fit. Obviously Bubba Wallace and Suarez, those guys coming up. I'm like, whoa, like, hey, like, we can, we're in store for some, diversity here, in the future and stuff. And I recognize that, like way back in middle school.
Both of their careers seemed like they were going on a downward spiral too for a second right there. I mean, Bubba was dealing with a dying Richard Petty team. Daniel Suarez basically being kicked to the curb without really giving much of an opportunity and maybe not being kind of forced into it. You could say sponsorship and Carl Edwards' old ride, but, he's kind of forced. He really didn't have much time, I would say, compared to his championship run that he had the year before in the Xfinity Series. But seems so far they've been bouncing back, and as you saw, Suarez got a win, and Bubba's been running good, and it seems like right now they're putting a new stamp on, hey, we could attract more fans for just what we're doing right now, more so than what we were able to do.
Yeah, and they are. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it at some of these newer tracks they've gone to, and then some of the older tracks as well. I mean, like, there's always going to be that Southern element, and there should be, because it is NASCAR for all. Obviously, like, you shouldn't like do away with your core fan base, but at the same time, don't pander to some of the idiots too. And I think, like, obviously getting rid of the Confederate flag from our events too. I mean, that's great. I mean, like, because like I would always go to these races in Las Vegas, and it's like it's so hard to get people where I'm from into it because, I mean, that's like one of the first turnoffs there is. It's like, hey, like, dude, like, what? Like I literally got questions. It's like, yeah, I was driving by the speedway and like, why is there a giant ass Confederate flag like in front of the track? Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh gosh. And it's like, well, what can I say? Like I can't like excuse that. So it's like, just those types of things would make it harder to get fans. My friends into racing like that and stuff. Among other things. But yeah, I mean, like, NASCAR taking those initiatives was great, but the thing is, though, we're still very early into it. We're still early into it. We're not like we're just like 2 to 3 years into it, basically. So I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done too. And like, and now honestly, the next step is seeing like how can we get more, minority owners into it. I mean, yeah, obviously Jordan's into it and stuff, but I mean, he's a billion. He has money. Like, we need more sponsors, owners, that sort of thing. And the driving aspect as well. I mean, obviously, got guys like Rajah Caruth coming through the sport, and he's like, in his early 20s. So like, he's another good, driver to watch out for. But then also too, getting more crew guys, minorities, and in the crew, for the in the pit crews, as well as my minority crew chiefs as well. So, I mean, we can only go up from here, but I mean, NASCAR just has to keep, putting the pedal down and stuff. I'm like, hey, like, this is a new era and stuff. Obviously, don't go totally away from your roots, but at the same time, do not pander to the lowest common denominator of your fan base. You shouldn't do that.
I'd say just make it good for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, try and finding that balance is cool, though. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, don't pander too much to, some of the fan base, some of these, core audience, but also, like, if you want to incorporate some newer fans, you gotta experiment with certain things, too. And, I think on the diversity front, they're doing an amazing job with it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Everyone I know could definitely see that as well. One quick question. You're talking about pit crew. Tell you what, I've been watching NASCAR pit crew, like videos and stuff like that. Those guys now, I mean, back then, everyone was definitely scrawny. They're a lot bigger and faster now. I mean, look, you're carrying 2 tires. Those are 45-pound plates, basically, even bigger than that, kind of. So
the reason they're a lot bigger, too, nowadays is because basically they're former college football players or professional players, or like athletes in general. Like I think the people they used to use back in the day also worked on the car too. Like they did, working on the car and then pitting it as well. Because like I think even Chad Knaus was like he was like one of the tire changers as well. Yeah,
he was, and Chad Knaus isn't a big guy by any means.
So you imagine, obviously pit stops were a lot slower, and then stress and stuff. Some teams are like, hey, let's just hire these athletes just to do this, and then they can just constantly train to do it, and then it's. They
have a weight room. They have like a condition coach. They got to hydrate after they're still on the football field or the basketball court. You know what I mean? One of those guys that come to the mind, Paul Swan. Now, say what you want about Austin Dillon's show. Paul Swan carries that show. I'm just going to admit it. I love seeing Paul Swan on that show because he's honestly funny. The show might suck, but Paul Swan.
Mom watches that. I mean, my mom's really into reality TV, and she texts me all the time. She's like, hey, are you watching the Austin Dillon show? I'm like, no. Like, I'm not going to watch that. And then
no, but I like Paul Swan on it, though. I mean, that's a form. So he's actually from Bowling Green. He went to Bowling Green, actually, in college, which is like 4 hours, I think.
So, she says he's funny. My mom says she's funny, or he's funny. And then also my mom freaking loves, like, the 2 wives in the show as well, like Austin and,
Swan and, who's Austin Dillon's wife's name? Is it
I don't remember.
Well, Brittany or something like that?
But, she thinks that those 2 are, like, so funny and stuff, and I'm like, okay. Like, I hope you enjoy it. I mean, I could care less about the show, to be honest with you. So.
But going back to the diversity real quick, they're improving a lot now. How do they keep on improving? What do you think?
I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, like you need to, they have a diversity program in place and, you're getting people, that can intern with these tracks and stuff and, getting more minority PR reps, crew chiefs, pit crews as well as drivers and stuff. And, also people in the front office as well, too. I mean, what's his name? Brendan Thompson. I mean, like he worked up the ladder for NASCAR for years, and then they make him the head of their diversity initiative too. That's another step of going in the right direction too. So, I mean, if you see minorities, working up, working as the higher ups too. I mean, it's got to boost your a company's morale and stuff because in my opinion, a company should be a representation of what America is. And right now, America is a boiling pot of everybody. So let's have everybody working. And also let me clarify this too. Obviously, it's great to have diversity, but what's equally as important is to make sure that they have the right qualifications too. So I think that's where some of the confusion comes in when it comes to this whole diversity talk, because some people are like, oh, you're hiring people. Yeah, like
all that stuff.
Some people have said like, oh, you're just hiring people because they're black. It's like, no. Like, we're giving people of color a chance that otherwise wouldn't have had a chance under the old regime, or under the way some of these teams.
Not even like from color. I'm talking like even Hispanics, Mexicans, Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? Exactly. From anywhere. They could be Jamaican, like for example.
Yeah,
anywhere from the country.
That's why the diversity program's there, so it can give us a chance finally. So again, it can only go up from here, man. So like, more power to them. Hopefully they keep this up or whatever. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Final part. So you made your YouTube channel, 2018? Did you have any
Technically,
videos
no. I started Black Lives Matter in the summer of 2016 as a gaming channel. And I remember this little channel had, I think I peaked at like 55, 60 subs before I decided to just hang it up for a year, because I just started college and stuff. And like, I don't know, just the video game stuff wasn't working out as well as I hoped it did. So basically I had all of like 2017 to kind of just watch content. And one of the favorite YouTubers popping up was Urinating Tree, 5 Points Vids, these big time sports YouTubers. And my thought was, why doesn't NASCAR have something like that? Like, obviously at the time we had, compilation channels and stuff, but like nobody was really talking, giving, sort of an analysis outside of Eric Estep, of course. And yeah, you had Kamikaze Games.
Really young at the time, I think, coming as well, right? Eric Estep, wasn't he still like coming up?
He was like, he was transitioning from doing the stop motions to what he does now. And then Kamikaze obviously was always around, but like obviously, Kamikaze style is very out there and stuff, and now he doesn't watch it anymore. But yeah, I was like, why isn't there like more YouTubers on the NASCAR side? So like, that's when I decided in December of 2017 I was gonna try it again, and the first upload was on December 28th, 2017, and
that's with the Bubba one. And then I think your second, you started NASCAR Bust with Casey Atwood was? Yeah, Casey Atwood. Trying to see who the
No. I think it was one, right? No, JJ Yeley was my second one. Yeah.
JJ Yeley. Although Trevor Bayne might be making a little comeback story.
Do a video on him. He's making a bit of he's having a bit of a resurrection. So I'm like, ooh.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I always liked Trevor Bayne. You know what I mean? Yeah, he won the 500. Might have been just kind of, as they say, a quote-unquote Mickey win now. But I just like that he won it. And, again, he came to kind of like Wood Brothers and Roush, especially Roush, when first Wood Brothers never had that Penske alliance. I'm pretty sure, right?
Came to Roush at a very horrible time. It's great to see him finally run.
Yeah. So I feel like if he was in a better ride during like 2011 and when he was starting to go full time, he probably could have, I don't know, maybe won a bunch of races, but he could have been contention, like maybe won a couple races.
Yeah, he would have been way better.
Yeah,
another team outside of Roush.
Yeah. So how did you meet like all your other YouTuber guys, like E-Step, all those guys? Did you guys just did they just watch your videos? Did you all just meet each other one day, say, hey?
They found them interesting. The Iceberg, a.k.a. Jared, sends me a DM when YouTube had DMs at the time and stuff. And then I had saw his DM when I was on spring break in Reno. But then I was like so plastered that like I just forgot that it even existed. And then I read it again a month later. I'm like, oh crap, let me see if he's still interested. And then, through the podcast, I meet him, Danny, and Eric, and then the rest is history from there. I mean, like, it's one thing to do a show with those guys for so long, but like it's another thing to actually be legit friends with them,
Yeah, I was on the show for one episode, but that was also when my laptop was
I remember
going
that.
through its dying roots too. Yeah, the black one was going through its dying roots as well. And this one's kind of, I wouldn't say the same. It's a nice laptop. It's just, again, processor. They got the new one. You could trade it in, get probably like 300 off. It's still 1,000, but no, that's good that they found your channel. You guys made a living. You guys have had really good teamwork. No one's had like beef and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not like Bob Memory with Nelk Boys where he left the podcast. Dude, or whatever. You know what I mean? You guys have been.
Happen. We ain't doing that. That's too much.
Yeah, you guys can't be stopped. I mean, you guys have done great for the sport, great for just everyone trying to get into it too, because the new generation is different from an old generation. You know what I mean? The old generation, you're going to just, it's going to be the same thing over here, and it's going to be the same old guys watching NASCAR. You know what I mean? NASCAR needed a younger audience for so long, and you guys have done that. You know what I mean? You're around the 20s as well. I know Danny B's probably a little bit older because, you know, he's married, stuff like that, maybe a time a bit older. Eric, maybe around your age, a little older.
5 to 27 range, basically.
Yeah, but that's still mid-20s, right. A little bit late 20s, nothing too, you know, it's still in the 20s, something that NASCAR hasn't really had for years since, like, I want to say probably, when adults now were like 15 years ago, so 40, they were probably, 25, I mean. Yeah, so it's been something like that, but, you know, I know you're a busy man with your new videos. Can we expect new videos coming up soon? Any hints?
More Gone Too Soon videos, as well as NASCAR Bus, you know, Not a Bus, and, you know, like some other ones. I have some other ideas too, but it's just a matter of trying to get around certain copyright issues, because I want to do F1 videos and like some other series, but like, yeah, some of them are so strict. That's the problem. But yeah, expect some more videos on the channel, and thank y'all so much for watching.
Of course, besides Fastenal, have you besides the Fastenal, what was it? Fastenal
they flagged my video and took it down. I had to strike that. That's why I was so pissed, because I had a channel strike after they did that. I couldn't stream for a while. I was like, dude, like, y'all could have just, like, maybe demonetized it. Like, you didn't have to flag the whole video, though. Jeez. It was... But yeah, that's in the past now, though.
Yeah, there's been that, and I don't know, you haven't gotten copyright for it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, every now and then I'll get, like, a little copyright thing, but, like, I haven't had a channel strike since Fastenal gave me one, basically. That season's one. Ricky Stenhouse, a video that I uploaded like 3 to 4 months ago, you know, prior to them flagging it. That's why I was like so shocked. I'm like, yo, like, I don't know. That was crazy. That was crazy at the time. I was not.
It's not like you're saying I hate Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and I hate Fastenal. Like, Fastenal should go jump in the ditch or something. You're just saying this was a bad season. Let's see what can happen.
Like, you know? It's not like I was excluding them. They were one of many bad seasons videos. You're not the only negative videos I make on them. I don't know. Crazy.
So before we do go off, I just want to ask you real quick: does Kurt Busch return this week, or does he sit out again?
I don't know. I mean, like, if he's able to get a waiver, like, why would he return, you know, until, you know, before the playoffs? You know, there's already 2 races, you know, left in the regular season. Like, I mean, at this point, like, if you're able to get a waiver, like, why come back? Like, you know, during the...
I've seen a lot of people speculating that Gibbs is going to 23-11 and he's, like, paying off his grandson the race. You know, I don't know how true that is.
I've seen Gibbs the 18, Gibbs the 23, Gibbs the whatever, but yeah, we just gotta wait and see. But yeah, I mean, like, no, I don't see Kurt Busch coming back. Honestly, like, I feel like he'll take a step back and just be like, look, if I can get a waiver, then hey, you know, I don't have to come back until the playoffs start.
Yeah, but I feel like if he does that, he's gonna miss the playoffs, and I feel like it's a Dale Jr. scenario where concussions happen, and then next year, it's probably gonna be his last year next year.
Hinted that earlier in the season. This year might be his last season. Or no, like, next year might be his last season. So
he's been there for like 3 years, though. I feel like 1-year contract. You know what I mean? Kind of. Yeah. I'm gonna retire. Then he doesn't. So it depends. We're just gonna have to see what happens. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll see what happens. But Darian, first of all, man, I want to say, besides the little technical issues, we got like good recordings and stuff like that. And that one only lasts like 20 minutes as well. So it's actually a pretty big podcast right there. So I want to thank you for coming on, sir. I appreciate it for real. We'll get the big times on.
Keep grinding, dude. You're doing awesome. And for those listening, tuning into the channel, my name is Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter, and thank y'all so much for watching / listening. Oh yeah, they can.
So where can people find you real
on
quick?
YouTube, Black Flags Matter on YouTube, as well as Twitter, Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but like I never really post on there. I don't really find anything interesting to post anymore. I'm just on there, just scroll up and down.
This viewer page I'm is something. That's all I gotta tell you right there. This page probably got what bikini girls
you can find me on those, man.
I always see on there.
Those platforms.
Yeah, but once again, you can find my podcast over here, OB Talkwire on Instagram. Ian OB O'Brien's my Twitter. You can find me as well on Instagram at OB O'Brien 41. That's where you can find it. This will, of course, probably be uploaded, I want to say, somewhere next week. I'll upload episode 13 first before we go to 14, but then this one will be uploaded because with the season coming around, I'm not going to be uploading as much. I'm going to try and get a lot of pre-recording ones, hopefully a Monday or a Sunday maybe if possible, because just with everything going on. So it's going to be a little different with everything, but once again, everyone, I want to thank Darian Gilliam, a.k.a. Black Flags Matter, coming on. 61K subs. That's incredible. 20K on Twitter, too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. So that's definitely incredible. You're going to be catching up to Weber soon, where he had like 70K.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Another year or something like that.
All right, thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Coming on, good sir. Once again, I want to thank this canned Gatorade, not as good as the original. You might have to try it over here soon. You've got to put just a little sugar in it. Should be fine right there. But that's the fake sponsor right there. But once again, everyone, I want to thank you all for joining to the OB Talkwire episode 14. I'll see you all next time. Once again, I want to thank the NASCAR YouTuber, one of the GOATs of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast, Darian Gilliam, a.k.a. Black Flags Matter, for coming on the show. A really big guest right there. And up next, the upload that's coming up soon. It's going to be, in fact, a little bit different. No sports, but all music. Maybe a little talk of our fantasy football season, but it's going to be with Isaac Bosnack, a.k.a. Big Hot. He's going to be coming on. We're going to be talking a lot about his music career, different genres of music in general, the goods, the pros, the cons about music, and so much more. So once again, I want to thank Darian Gilliam for coming on, and I'll catch you all for next episode of the OB Talkwire.